Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Sunday. Corporate 24 here, San Francisco Bay Area, California. This is Axis&Allies Global, second edition, 1940, using Sire Blood's tournament rules. This game was played yesterday. I was the Allies, and I went up against Argothair, who played Germany and Italy, and another guy from the Bay Area named James. He was playing Japan. So I just want to give you an overview of what the board looks like after 5 rounds. At the end of the 5th round, the Axis basically surrendered. There was really no way to get their 12th victory city. Axis have 8 turns to get 12 victory cities, and after 5 turns, it just looked pretty bleak for them. I'll give you the recap on what went down. This was our first time playing with this setup, so we were all guinea pigs pretty much. Argothair and I will be attending Sireds tourney in a few weeks, and we're definitely looking forward to that. So I'm kind of happy we got our feet wet, because there was definitely a lot to digest for your first time playing. But everyone had a really good time. We enjoyed it. It was fun. And like I said, we're glad that we played it. So at least we have some kind of confidence going into the tournament, what to do. Okay, don't do this, don't do this. You know, it's a learning curve. But I think we adapted pretty good. So I was very busy because I was playing the Allies myself. And there were a few victories that kind of turned the tide, in my opinion, to, I guess you could say, take this victory, because the Axis surrendered. So here in the European theater, Germany bought a lot of subs, because with the tournament rules, you get a $5 extra if you have 5 subs patrolling. So every turn, Argothair was getting subs. And that actually turned out pretty good for Germany, because Britain had to invest in destroyers, and that became kind of a pain in the ass for me. So Germany did good with that for sure. Germany was able to take southern France and built a carrier there and kind of protect Italy for a while. That lasted for a few rounds. Eventually, the British came in with more navy. Then you got the Americans coming from the west. And that was overwhelming, as you can see. So it lasted for a few rounds, the Mediterranean campaign for the Axis, and eventually they were just overwhelmed by the British from the east and now the Americans from the west. Up in the Eastern Front, Germany did good until probably the main battle that cost them the war was the Battle of Belarus. Germans left a lot of equipment there. Russians got the technology, propelled artillery, which allowed artillery to move 2 spaces and support 2 attacking infantry at 2 instead of the regular 1. That paid huge dividends for the Russians, as they pretty much smack the German army in Belarus. As you can see, that's what's left over. Germany's whole Eastern Front campaign after that battle looked pretty dim, as you can see. There's not much coming. So that was probably the first big setback for the Axis. We agreed there's no way Germany can recover after that one. And Leningrad's probably going to be taking this upcoming turn. Germans probably won't get it back, at least before 8 turns. Who knows, but it didn't look too good for them. Plus more Russians are coming. So that was probably the main turning point of the war, at least on the European side. That was pretty much the European board. Out here in the Pacific side, China was a freaking bloodbath. I mean, unbelievable. I tried to hold on as long as possible, and finally, it looks like I'm going to fall. My main goal and the cavalries are actually pretty cool. They definitely help China, no question about it. I didn't end up getting tanks, by the way. I just didn't feel like it was worth my investment. So I stayed with men and cavalry, mainly men. My goal with the Allies was to try to hold these 2 territories as long as possible, force Japan to come after me. Just try to take as many casualties down as I can. That way, these forces could be tied up here, and it allowed India to be pretty strong. India was never really threatened. There's no way India was going to fall within the next few turns. But my plan did work. Eventually, I did lose China, as you could pretty much see, but it cost Japan a lot of resources, a lot of men, artillery, mechs, and even freaking air power. The railroads are really cool because I was able to bring up units from India all the way up here, and what I brought up was AA guns. So every time Japan attacked my main Indian and Chinese garrison, when they brought in their planes, they also had to face AA guns. And every freaking battle, my AA guns hit. So that was really cool. So the railroad guns are fun. Excuse me, not railroad guns, railroad system, I guess. It allows Japan to bring in forces deep into China, which definitely helps. Definitely got to pay attention. I made a big blunder with Russia. Like I said, this was our first time playing. I should have pulled back my factory from Leningrad, but I just left it there and I tried to hold it, and obviously I lost. But it doesn't matter because this battle, like I said, was a big turning point of the war on this side. So you just got to pay attention, always have the rules out. What else? So going back to the Pacific, like I said, India was never taken. India was pretty strong. Egypt is very strong, as you can see. See what else here. Another big battle. This is the deciding battle in the Pacific. Japan, after that battle on the Eastern Front, Japan tried to strike me here in the Caroline Islands. James, who was playing Japan, very good player, just like Argothair. Both of them are very technical. He tried to hit me here, and I had a small advantage, but I rolled better, and it allowed me to basically survive with the battleship. These subs came in for reinforcement. But regardless, I survived with some planes and the battleship. He lost like 3 carriers, 2 battleships, I think, a few destroyers, and most of the Japanese aircraft. As you can see, this Pacific side has kind of just dwindled the numbers. There's not much left for Japan. And with the Anzac, I just used kind of my basic instincts, just try to be a pain in the butt, take some of these islands, also with America. And Japan is just pretty much starting to shrink, as you can see. So those 3 battles are probably the big battles that kind of decided the fate of this game. Caroline Islands, the big huge naval clash, which America won. Battle of China, which, as you can see, I've lost, but very draining for the Japanese. A lot of casualties. And the big one, Battle of Belarus, which I came in with those artillery, and I didn't also bring airplanes. Also, Germany didn't bring the AA guns, and I rolled good too, so that helped. But you can see that's a good sized stack of artillery. That technology is really good, the propelled artillery. So our first time playing this setup. Like I said, we had a good time. We made mistakes, which is obviously normal when first time you play a game. You're not familiar with the rules. But we really enjoyed it. It's fun. It's a lot to learn. For my technology with Russia, I got propelled artillery. With UK, I got jet fighters, which I really didn't use. Probably the best technology for UK, I'm probably naval shipyards, I'm guessing. With America, I got the super transports, where they could load up 3 units, 1 infantry, and 2 more of any kind. That was cool. But also for America, probably naval shipyards is definitely a good one I can see. With Japan, James got naval shipyards. He loved it. And Jason also got propelled artillery with the Germans. So overall, like I said, a lot to digest. Our first time playing. I'm definitely happy I got my feet wet and I got a practice game in. So coming up in a few weeks, I definitely feel more comfortable now. So it was really fun. We got 5 rounds in, and like I said, it just doesn't look victories any close within the next 3 rounds, at least for that Axis. So I'm sure we made a few mistakes, but we tried to do our best. We had the rules out, we printed them out, and Railroads definitely help out. Let's see here, what else? Paratroopers with the bombers, air transports. We never used them. I never moved my factories back. Let's see here. I like the Lend-Lease with Russia. That was pretty cool. I got a tank in Soviet Far East, and then I got an artillery, but they never made it to the main army. Well, at least the tank is there, but the artillery never did. What else here? The bombers kind of got to get used to. They can only attack for 1 round, so that was definitely interesting. So we kind of like in big battles like this, when your bombers can only attack 1 round, you're kind of forced to take them as casualties in the first round. So that's something you got to get used to. Destroyers, you can't block those big navies anymore. Only 3 units, so that's another thing you got to get used to. But yeah, overall we all had a good time. No complaints, and I'm excited for this tournament. I'm really looking forward to it, and I think it's going to be good times. You know, it's going to be good times. All right, guys. Hope you're having a great 3-day weekend. And again, this was Axis&Allies Global in 1940, using Sired Blood's tournament rules. First time playing, and again, Argothair and James were the Axis, 2 very good players. Argothair will be at the tournament, and he will be teaming up with the VK Cowboy. And I was holding down the Allies, and you know, I usually don't play by myself. I usually have a teammate, but I gotta say, when you play by yourself, you don't have to listen to anyone. I'm just saying, you know, it's kind of nice to just do your own thing, and if you screw up, it's all on you. You have no one to blame. So I was busy constantly. I mean, as you can imagine, rolling dice and doing this, always preparing my turns. And I try to go fast too, because with the tournament coming up, you have certain time for each nations. But it was fun. All right, guys, talk soon. Deuces.